Oh, it's you again. You're probably wondering why I've got this blue piece of paper. It's not the blue on my suit, it's not the blue on my shirt, it's another blue, Pantone number 402C to be exact. Well, today on Hofstra Discovered, we're going to be talking about Pantone colors. What are they? Where did they come from? And most importantly, why are they all over the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication? Well, we took a trip around campus to get the details on these colorful and beautiful tiles.
The colors on these tiles are Pantone colors. They reflect a system of color coding that was invented by Lawrence Herbert.
The school is named after Lawrence Herbert, who invented the Pantone Matching System.
When we named the school after Lawrence Herbert almost 10 years ago, we decided to decorate it with the Pantone chips.
So my name is David Henney. I'm the Herbert School's Director of Content Strategy and Student Media Engagement. So like many people who work in social media strategy and content, I use tools and apps where basically Pantone system is embedded into the system. I have a color pinwheel. I can put in a quick code and get the exact Hofstra blue, the logo, branding, colors.
My name is Mark Lukashevitz. I'm Dean of the Lawrence Herbert School of Communication at Hofstra University. So Lawrence Herbert was a student at Hofstra University. He got involved in the publishing business. There was a problem that a client who wanted a particular shade of blue got a printed product that wasn't quite that shade, and there was no way to communicate.
Essentially what Lawrence Herbert did is he broke down every shade of every color into a matching numeric system.
You would get this book, you'd get this set of tiles as a Pantone customer, and you could very clearly communicate, this is the color I want to see on my book or on my piece of clothing that I'm manufacturing.
Yeah, so the Pantone system really revolutionized how people understand design and how they request basically exactly what they want in a production. So Lawrence Herbert was an alum of Hofstra, trying to recall his exact graduation year. The cool thing about this school is we have a big mural with his portrait on it. It kind of breaks down his timeline of when he bought the Pantone matching system, when he graduated, and what he's been up to in the past 50 years.
Lawrence Herbert was a chemistry major at Hofstra University. Went into the printing business.
I actually have a book of his biography. I should have brought it with me. So it's called The King of Color. It's a book that he wrote with the assistance of a ghostwriter, I believe.
The Pantone system is a worldwide system now. It's licensed to all kinds of industries. It's become the gold standard of color matching in printing, in textiles, in the digital industry.
In the year 22 now, the Pantone matching system is sort of ubiquitous to, social media graphics, print graphics, even shading for color correction, movies, film. Knowing exactly the color that you need, that's universal.
And when he invented this system, he called it the international language of color. And so it's a way of communicating an international language, and that's the connection to the school. Separately, later in his career, Lawrence Herbert became very, very involved in the film industry. He's an active supporter of a variety of institutions that support independent and artistic film, and part of that support comes through his generous support of Hofstra University and our communication school and film program.
I think it was just the best fit. I believe the work that we do here kind of aligned with the vision of what Lawrence Herbert did in his career.
That was the innovation of Pantone. It was an amazing innovation. And Larry, who still comes to the school regularly, who's very involved in everything we do here and is very interested in what you students are doing, what the faculty are doing, he refers to it as the international language of color. And it really is that.
You basically need to know at all times the color that you're going for, even with this shoot.
Lawrence Herbert has visited here regularly. I've seen him multiple times every year. He does live in Florida now, but he's in New York City quite often, and he often makes it his business to be here, whether it's to meet with the president of the university or me, or meet with our students as he did last year. Obviously, we had some interruption of that during the pandemic, but I expect him to actually be back here next month.
The king of color, the creator of color communication, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure it makes you feel proud to know someone from your school did something so impactful. Here to talk more about the discoveries we've made today is Hofstra student Joe Rishi. Hello, Joe. Thank you so much for
Hello.
taking the time. I want to start off with a little pop quiz, right?
Okay.
Basic answers, basic answers.
Oh boy.
What color would you say your hoodie is?
Blue.
Okay, what color would you say this piece of paper is?
Blue.
Okay, what color would you say my suit is?
Blue.
And that is exactly why Lawrence Herbert is so impactful, because yes, all these colors are blue, but we got to distinguish them somehow with numbers, right? So you saw the package, the history of color communication when it comes to Pantones. What were your immediate thoughts?
My immediate thought was I didn't know that he was a chemistry major.
I did not know either.
I assumed that he was going to be a communications major, and I thought that this came like directly from communications.
So he was cooking up colors in the lab. Something
Right,
like that, something like
exactly.
that. But I feel like Pantones, they kind of, I guess it's more used by the adult generation more than, students at Hofstra. So do you see the Pantone system being more impactful towards adults too, or more towards students?
I think it really depends on what type of industry you're in. Like
Yeah.
I personally enjoy doing a lot of graphics and posters on Photoshop. So I use a lot of color systems. I don't think I directly use the Pantone system, but I understand the concept of it. So I think if you're in something like graphic design, or even if you're a student and you're into that artsy kind of stuff, I think you're definitely still using the Pantone system.
And we know Lawrence Herbert's impact on the School of Communication so much that the school is actually named after him, right? But do you see the Pantone system being as impactful in the school, outside the school as well?
I honestly didn't know about it until I came to Hofstra.
Right. So that's why we have packages like that. It helps
Yeah.
out. It helps out.
So I'd say I don't know. I don't think it's as widely talked about. I don't think I would know about it if I didn't go to this school. I don't think I would know what it is at this point.
So it should be talked about
I think
more.
it should be talked about more because I think it's a really cool thing that I know we use I'm a television student. As I said, I like making graphics and posters. I use color all the time. And I think understanding the fundamentals of the system like that is really important, and not enough people know that.
So let's bring it into a real life situation. Are you a comm major, right?
Yeah, television.
Is there anything you do within the Herbert School, like any extracurriculars and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm involved in the Heat Network, crewing the live shows and stuff.
So how do you think the Pantone system could help the Heat Network or any of the extracurriculars you do within the Herbert School?
I think it could help with creating graphics and advertisements, social media posts, stuff like that for sure, directly color things. And also maybe using, thinking about color schemes as a whole when you're thinking about what's on camera and what colors are looking good together and what is visually pleasing for the audience.
I guess that's one way students could incorporate the Pantone
thinking
system
about that
as well.
a little bit more.
But even outside the world, how do you see it being used? Because I know if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I'm not going to say my favorite color is 402C. I'm going to say my favorite color is blue. So besides, I guess, that first interaction with people, how do you think the Pantone system can be used outside the school, the school environment?
When you started that pop quiz, I thought the reason I looked at my sweater is because I thought you were asking me to remember the number
No,
of blue, and I was like, oh my God.
I wanted basic answers for a reason to try to convey why Lawrence Herbert was so important. Because, 402C, that's probably ABCD 1, 2, 3. I don't know what color that is. But, you get the point nonetheless. So you talked about how the Pantone system can be used within schools, within the Heat Network, but just outside, people in their normal lives. How do you see the Pantone system being used there? Outside of the creative and graphic design?
Outside of the creative,
not a quiz, though. Not a quiz.
I don't know.
I mean, I remember I was talking to a professor. It was just a few minutes ago, too, when we were off air. I guess if you're looking to paint your walls, and you may be looking for a white, or you may be looking for an off-white. Yeah, I guess that can help too.
Going into a hardware store, I like going into Ace Hardware where they have all those paint chips on the wall.
Yeah.
I think you can use the Pantone system to come up with. So if you're painting your house or something, picking colors, you would use the Pantone system for that.
The Pantone, but I don't know. I find it so awkward.
Does that still count as creative though?
I guess. I mean, I think just saying a number and letters as opposed to actual colors makes you kind of creative, but I find it to be a weird flex when you walk in Ace Hardware and you say, I want AB12A.
Right, you walk in there, and they got to go look for it.
Yeah, I think they would look at me crazy. I think they would look at any of us crazy, to be honest. But
be like, I'd like a light blue.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the Pantone system, it's still solid. When you look at the system, we've been talking about it this whole time. And Lawrence Herbert, he graduated from Hofstra years and years ago, before I was born. Probably before you were born too? Yeah, obviously. Always got to check and confirm. But yeah, nonetheless, all of this, very interesting to hear. And your insight, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. This was really interesting.
To you guys, the audience, thank you, Joe, for taking the time to chat with us today. And thank you for watching this episode of Hofstra Discovered. To learn more about Hofstra, stay tuned for our next episode.